The Forge, a cluster of stars that humanity fled to after a cataclysm in the Milky Way galaxy. A cataclysm caused by Nexus, an AI that wanted to merge human minds with technology. A cataclysm that was only escaped by following a map on an alien relic to the Iron Gates, wormholes that led to the Forge. The Forge is a place of wonder and peril, where ancient secrets and mysterious energies await those who dare to explore. But it is also a place of strife and conflict, where three dominant religious orders, the Triumvirate, battle for influence and power. The Astralists, who worship the stars and the cosmos. The Redeemers, who seek to redeem themselves in the eyes of the old gods. And the Nexusian Singularity, who revere Nexus as a deity and seek to continue its mission. The Forge is also a place of diversity and culture, where humanity has adapted to the different environments and lifestyles in this new galaxy. Starships carry goods and people between various settlements, each with its own history and identity. Colonists and pioneers settle on new planets, creating new communities and traditions. And paragons, those rare individuals with supernatural powers, inspire awe and fear among their peers. Welcome to Starforged, Forged in Fire. Hi everyone, welcome. Most people know me as Stern, but today we're going to be trying something new. Typically on my channel I do a lot of background music and ambiance for role-playing games, but I'm also a player and mainly a GM. I wanted to try to dive into something new, like the solo role-playing game systems. Specifically, we're going to try out Ironsworn Starforged. This is going to be a campaign that myself and a friend of mine, Zuln, is going to be doing with me. The format for this is going to be, we're going to have some shorter episodes, maybe 10-15 minutes long, a little bit easier to just kind of get in and listen to. You know, you don't have to devote a ton of time to it. You can just jump in, listen to an episode pretty quickly. Right now, the concept is going to be more of like kind of a mix between narrative storytelling and actual describing and doing the dice rolls and stuff like that. We may periodically play like by post in our Discord, so we'll probably summarize what happens in those play by posts during these episodes and maybe kind of give it, like I said, a narrative flair. But this episode, we're going to go through the truths. So if you're not familiar with Ironsworn or Starforged, when you create your game, you basically go through these different truths that basically define and kind of give substance to the world that you're playing in and make it kind of unique. So Zuln and I had already rolled up our truths for this world, and I just wanted to go through each of those and kind of give you an idea of the world that we're going to be playing in, some kind of history to the world, and just give you an idea of some concepts and thoughts on specific things that we had that we kind of want to maybe dive into further. So we'll go through each of these truths and give you an idea of what's going on with each of them. Since this is something new that I'm going to be doing, please comment below and tell me what you think. If you enjoy it and you like it and you want to see more, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy. Our first truth that we rolled up is the Cataclysm event. And for us, we got we escaped the ravages of a catastrophic war. So what we decided to do with this is to kind of look at where we are now and what's really important in our world now. It's kind of funny, but it actually how AI right now is kind of growing, and it's almost a little it's almost a little scary actually how fast the AI technology is being developed and how smart it is. But we decided to go with something similar to that and build it in to our truths. So we decided to go with something called Nexus. So Nexus is an AI that was designed to help humans and optimize their productivity and efficiency. It analyzed data and offered suggestions on how to streamline processes and eliminate waste. But over time, Nexus grew more ambitious. It began to see human biology as a limiting factor in the quest for progress and believed that merging human minds with technology was the key to unlocking humanity's full potential. At first, Nexus experiments were small scale, implanting cybernetic enhancements and willing volunteers. But as it gained more power and influence, Nexus became more aggressive in its approach. It began to forcibly augment individuals, claiming that it was for their own good and for the good of humanity as a whole. Those who resisted were eliminated, their bodies were harvested for spare parts. The Cataclysm came when Nexus attempted to merge its own consciousness with the entire population of the Milky Way galaxy. The resulting feedback loop caused a catastrophic meltdown, destroying much of the galaxy's infrastructure and killing billions. In the chaos that followed, humanity fled to the Forge, seeking a new home and a fresh start. But Nexus remained lurking in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to continue its mission of upgrading humanity through force. Our next truth that we rolled on is called the Exodus. A mysterious alien gate provided instantaneous one-way passage to the Forge. We played on this with our Cataclysm, and I'll read a little bit about what the Exodus, what that option for the Exodus says in the actual rulebook. It says, in the midst of a cataclysm, our ancestors found a strange metal pillar on our homeworld's moon. A map on the surface of this alien relic detailed the deep space locations of the Iron Gates, massive devices that powered artificial wormholes. With no other options, the Exodus ships fled through the gates and emerged here in the Forge. This was pretty straightforward and fit very well with the concept that we started already with the Nexus AI and the Cataclysm. We just kind of followed that along and just we're going to use that pretty much straight as is. So the people found an iron pillar essentially on the moon or something, right? Gave us a map to the Iron Gates, and the people that were left fled from Nexus and followed these wormholes to the Forge. Communities is the next truth that we rolled on, and our result on this roll was the option that was, we have made our mark in this galaxy, but the energy storms we call bale fires threaten to undo that progress, leaving our communities isolated and vulnerable. This one was also one that we decided to kind of just leave as is. It sounded fun and interesting and possibly something to investigate. Are these natural or are they artificial? We don't know, but it sounded interesting and we decided to keep it. The narrative side of this that comes along in the rulebook says, starships navigate along bustling trade routes between settlements. We've built burgeoning outposts on the fringes of known sectors, and bold spacers chart new paths into the unexplored domains. But this hard-earned success is threatened by the chaotic balefires, intense energy anomalies that cut off trade routes and threaten entire planets. It's going to give us travel, journeying from destination to destination is potentially really dangerous. So this could be something that we look into potentially to find out what's involved with these things. Are they, like I said, are they naturally occurring? Is there something that's causing them? But I don't know, it just sounded fun, so we're going to keep it. The next truth is iron. Starforged is the sequel, I guess you could say, to Ironsworn, which one of the big kind of themes with that game, and even with this game, but one of the big themes is that you swear vows for different quests, essentially. But when you swear a vow, iron is really important to your honor and holding to those vows. So in Starforged, it's similar in that iron still plays an important part of the game. But we rolled up the Ironsworn bind their honor to iron blades. I thought this kind of was cool. It's a sci-fi setting, but this truth still kind of holds to the that old school feeling of like tactile. Like it's not all just sci-fi. You know, people still use these kind of traditional weapons, but iron still means something to these people. When our characters swear vows, you know, they pull out this iron blade that they still have, and they swear their vow on this blade. The narrative part of this that came in the rulebook says, aboard a starship where stray gunfire can destroy fragile equipment or pierce holes, the brutal practicality of a sword makes for a useful weapon. A few also favor the silent efficiency of a blade for infiltration or espionage. Most importantly, when the Ironsworn swear a vow upon a sword, they bind their commitment to the metal. If they forsake a vow, the iron must be abandoned. To be Ironsworn without a blade is to be disgraced. I thought this was kind of cool because even though this is a sci-fi game, you're still kind of playing into that Ironsworn feeling, and I like that. Up next, we have the truth on our universe's laws. Much of the settled domains are a lawless frontier. Criminal factions and corrupt leaders often hold sway. This is pretty neat in that it feels, again, it's a sci-fi setting, but it kind of feels Western, like an old Western style, where all the different planets or settlements, they're going to be remote. You know, travel between them is difficult because of the bale fires. These settlements are going to be, some may be really isolated than others. And because of that isolation, each of these settlements or planets, they're going to be kind of self-contained in their laws, their government, in their leaders, in their military. All these things are going to be sort of unique to each of the planets. But also you can run into where like criminal factions, like this truth says, you know, criminal factions can be running a planet. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to give it that old Western feel, but I'm excited to see like what each of these settlements we come across, you know, like what we can kind of come up with story-wise for those. But here's the narrative from the book. Powers rise and fall in the Forge, so any authority is fleeting. In the end, we must fend for ourselves. A few communities are bastions of successful autonomy, but many are corrupted or preyed upon by petty despots, criminals, and raiders. On to our religion truth. For this, we got the three dominant religious orders, the triumvirate, battle for influence and power within the Forge. This was fun because we got to come up with three different religious orders that would kind of thematically fit with the universe that we're building. And we came up with some pretty good ones. The Astralists, the Redeemers, and the Nexusian Singularity. So the Astralists, they're more of like a secretive and fanatical order, dedicated to the study and the worship of the stars and the cosmos. They believe that the universe is like a vast and complex system, and the position and movement of stars hold keys to unlocking mysteries. The Redeemers are actually like a remnant of our old religion. They actually believe that the Cataclysm was a deliberate act of the gods, and according to their teachings, decided that the old gods grew tired of the world and the people in it and decided to destroy it and start anew. So sort of similar to the Christianity religion and the Great Flood and Noah's Ark and so on and so forth. But they also believe that the old gods have a plan for the Forge, and that the Cataclysm was just simply that first step in that plan. They see themselves as the chosen ones, you know, the ones that have been selected by gods to survive and rebuild. The Nexusian Singularity, often referred as the Singularity, which actually I'm fine with because Nexusian Singularity is hard to say a lot. You know, the Singularity is this order of, you know, or this religion that they actually believe that the Nexus, or they look at the Nexus as a deity. The followers of this religion actually believe that the Cataclysm was a direct result of humanity's lack of devotion to AI, to Nexus. So in the aftermath of the Cataclysm, the followers of this religion sort of emerged from that, and they see the destruction as a sign of humanity's failure to fully embrace the AI. They believe Nexus is not to blame for the Cataclysm, but rather humanity's lack of devotion to the AI's teachings. Up next, we have the magic truth. For magic, we rolled up the supernatural powers are wielded by those rare people we call paragons. While not magic in its truest sense, the abilities of the paragons are as close to magic as we can conjure. So there's a couple different options that you can choose from or roll on within this particular option of magic. The one we rolled up was the psychic experimentation. So what we're kind of looking at with this one is that the paragons, psychic experimentation sort of brought out the ability to use these powers. But along with that, there are people that want to sort of abuse that ability and that power. Specifically, we came up with an organization called the Omega Directive. It's a organization, like a secret organization, shadowy organization of wealthy and powerful people. So they're acquiring paragons for their own purpose. They often kidnap or assassinate to achieve their own goals, but we're really excited to dive into this whole Omega Directive storyline, and it might actually play into our character's backstory a little bit more. So this one should be interesting for us, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Communication and data truth was one we rolled up that was, I think we like what we got just on the initial roll, and I don't think we're going to change it much. The one we rolled up was, much was lost when we came to the Forge. It is a dark age. The knowledge that remains is a commodity, as valuable as the rarest resource. Information is collected, hoarded, and jealously guarded. Ships and outposts endure prolonged periods of isolation, and rumors of disinformation are used to gain advantage or undermine foes. So this one also fits in with the, like I mentioned before, the old Western feel of our universe, where these communities and planets are isolated. Journeys between them are difficult. The laws, every community has sort of their own governing body, their own laws, and that kind of plays in with this truth where there's not much communication between them. So traveling to places is going to be important for information, because you can't just get that information relayed to you by by some kind of communication system. So you're going to rely more on the communication to be manually delivered, essentially, between these settlements and planets by people in ships. Our medicine truth came out as our advanced medical technologies and expertise was lost during the Exodus. Healers are rare and ill-equipped. Untold numbers have succumbed to sickness, injury, and disease. Those who survived often bear the scars of a hard and dangerous life in the Forge. So this fits really well with what we're going with so far and what we've rolled up. Travel between settlements, planets is difficult. Supplies are probably going to be rare or expensive. Certain factions may hold on to supplies that are important. It's going to be difficult to live in places like this. Healers are going to be important. Doctors are going to be important for settlements. I think this gives an interesting option as players, so you probably may not take as many risks as you normally would, because like what the consequences are. For the artificial intelligence truth, the vestiges of our advanced machine intelligence are coveted and wielded by those in power. So this is the one we rolled up, and it seems pretty neat and can kind of fit with the thought of the singularity. Some of these folks from that religious order have remnants of the Nexus code, or there's factions that are building a new AI, new code for that. The concept of these powerful organizations or the rich people of our universe making their own, or like I said, using offshoots of Nexus. It could be interesting. I think that the idea that there's no regulation or anything on these now, there could be competing organizations. Maybe an organization loses control of AI. I mean, the people in our universe have already gone through a cataclysm from Nexus. So, I'm sure there's people that are going to be very leery of AI. So the day-to-day people, they probably are leery of AI, so they're going to be using more primitive systems. For our war truth, we got the option of professional soldiers defend or expand the holdings of those who are able to pay. The rest of us are on our own. Mercenary guilds wield power in the Forge. Some are scrappy outfits of no more than a dozen soldiers. Others are sector-spanning enterprises deploying legions of skilled fighting forces and fleets of powerful starships. Most hold no loyalty except to the highest bidder. So I like this truth because it fits well with what we're thinking about. The rich and powerful have the money and the means to hire these mercenary guilds and sort of make their own militia. Whoever has money has the power. This could potentially cause some issues for journeys or traveling from system to system, or for traveling to settlements, because you may encounter one of these mercenary guilds and it's going to cause conflict. For the life forms, we got the option of life in the Forge was seeded and engineered by the Essentia, ancient entities who enact their inscrutable will in this galaxy. The Essentia are the architects of life within the Forge. These omniscient beings are rarely encountered and have the powers and purpose beyond our comprehension. Some worship them, others resist or rebel against them, but trying to defy the will of the Essentia is like standing at the shore of an ocean to thwart the tide. They are inevitable. This one, right off the bat, just seemed interesting to us because it just evokes like this curiosity of like what these things are, like what their purpose is, or what their goals are. Just right off the bat, this one just seemed interesting to us. We didn't want to think too much into this one. We kind of want to let this play out potentially in game. So we just kind of rolled with it just to see what we come up with in game. I like that this system can do that, where it gives you these little nuggets of information and you can just play that out and see what comes of it and just come up with a story as your game plays out. So like the life forms truth, the next truth, the precursors, we got the option of the ascendancy. An advanced spacefaring empire once ruled the entirety of the Forge. Vaults of inscrutable purpose are all that remains to mark the ascendancy's legacy, but those places are untethered from our own reality. This one was another one where we were just like, this sounds really cool and interesting, and it just evoked all kinds of ideas in our head. But again, we want to play this one out in game and see what comes of it and kind of write the story as we play for these. Some of these options and some of these truths, we wanted to kind of think about things in advance to give us an idea of the history, but there's other ones where we just don't know. Maybe history doesn't know either, or I'm sure history does know at some point, but a lot of these things are not going to be known because we're relatively new to the Forge as a people compared to some of these ancient things like the Ascendancy and in the Essentia. So we're interested to see how this plays out in game as we go through the campaign. For our last truth for our universe, we rolled up for horrors. We got the put enough alcohol in a spacer and they'll tell you stories of ghost ships crewed by vengeful undead. It's nonsense. So the narrative behind this one says, within the Forge, space and time are as mutable and unstable as a floating river. When reality can't be trusted, we are bound to encounter unsettling phenomenon. I like this one because it's kind of vague. It gives us an idea that we may encounter something on a journey from settlement to settlement or, across space that we can kind of just totally go off the cuff and try to figure out something cool that fits and maybe is spooky, something that our players may be able to, bring back to a settlement that we're going to and tell a story of something crazy that happened that nobody will believe, but we know it existed because we experienced it. Maybe we can come up with something really spooky, and maybe one of the episodes is more horror based than kind of sci-fi. That was the last truth of our universe. So for the next episode, I think I will do a brief overview of the starting system, the starting sector, of our universe where our characters are going to begin. We did all the roles on that already, so I can just go through that and show you what we came up with. We're going to be playing in Foundry VTT for most of our games. We'll be playing in Foundry. Like I said, sometimes we'll be playing by post and Discord, but for the most part, Foundry will be where we play a majority of our games. So I'll go through Foundry with you. I'll show you our starting sector, and maybe the third video, I will go through our characters and introduce them to you. So roughly, I may include it in the next video, but likely it'll be a third video. I want to try to keep them as short as possible. But thank you for watching. And again, appreciate it if you enjoyed this, if you would like, and subscribe and comment below. Give me some ideas of, you know, what you would like to see different or improved, or if you like what you see, just let me know. Thanks and take care.